The phase that we call design development is where the project becomes real. Up until this point, all of the plans and renderings my clients have been reviewing have been pretty conceptual. They may look fully worked out because I present them as renderings that look totally finished and detailed, but little secret, it's not. I've only dialed in one or maybe two sides of the building just to work out an architectural design language that they like. There's a whole lot more, from the side elevation design to the interior ceiling designs to the mechanical systems and the baseboard details that all need to be worked out. And this is the phase that's all about taking a step toward figuring out all that minutia. We also have to battle test the design with some of the reviewing agencies, so let's dive into what this all looks like. First, we got to build out our team. This is one of the first and most important steps we take after signing off on those renderings, for a number of reasons. First and foremost, I can perform a lot of functions on a project, but I'm not necessarily the expert on every aspect of a home. And that's where we want to leverage consultants and specialists who we can bring on to help elevate the overall quality of the project even further. The most basic will be your structural engineer, who's responsible for sizing all the beams and defining the connections that help the house stand up in an earthquake or when you have 3 feet of snow on your roof. Sort of important. Others might include a civil engineer who's responsible for the site grading, how dirt is moved around and set on site so that water drains away from the building. A landscape architect who specializes in plant species and pool design. An interior designer who could help specify all the specialty appliances, interior finishes, and furniture selections. Depending on the caliber of home, there might even be people who specialize in just heating systems, lighting design, acoustic design, or home automation systems. We bring these consultants on to leverage their expertise, add value to the project, and make it that much better to live in. But adding people to the team does make it a bit more challenging to manage, and as the architect, I'm ultimately quarterbacking all of that management. I found that the earlier we define who our partners are, the smoother a project goes. So that's one of the first things I do in this phase. Inundate my client with a whole bunch of proposals from experts that I've worked with before and I'm confident can perform the work to a standard that I'm comfortable with and in the time frame that we require. So beyond just getting the team assembled, I've also got a lot of work to still do on the actual design. Those beautiful renderings I present to my clients in the previous phase, they're generally only worked out on one or two sides. The renderings show an architectural language we've developed together. But design development is the phase where I apply that language to every aspect of the project. So that means I'm diving back into the 3D model, working out how the side elevations look, how all the ceiling designs work out. Anything that didn't show up in those first renderings, I'm gonna go back and clean up to match our chosen design aesthetic. So this is a big design component on my end to finalize that 3D model and create a fully functional building matching the look that we're after. Once I've completed the 3D model, it forms the basis for all of the traditional floor plans that form our initial set of drawings. I don't fully complete those drawings at this phase, but all of them are sort of blocked out so that we can have a bare bones set reflecting what the design looks like on paper. And this is useful for a number of reasons. All of those consultants we brought on board, we can't kick them off and get them started on their scope until I actually have plans to give them. So we use that set for reviewing the initial direction with them. Something else that we want to start diving into this phase is getting feedback from the various reviewing jurisdictions that we'll need our permit approvals from. Most properties have some sort of planning department that will need to review the project to confirm it's in line with the local zoning codes. Is it the right height? Is it within the setback? Does it have the right number of parking spots? Some properties have an HOA to verify that the home fits within their particular guidelines. We're not making a home with pink doors and yellow roof materials. We want to get those preliminary plans in front of those agencies first before we go deep on developing the project further, because if they have any major feedback that requires large design shifts, we don't want to have all 7 or 8 of our consultants and engineers go and redo their work. We want to get outside feedback early, address it, make the reviewers happy, and then give the consultants the green light to run full speed. It minimizes the risk we'll get blindsided with a change during later reviews and that we'll get charged additional fees for reworking the design from your consultants. Another thing this plan set is good for is starting to talk to contractors about your project. It's not fully engineered yet, but the design is now in a format that they're used to seeing, so we can start getting better pricing numbers from the builders on what the project's actually going to cost. Ideally, expectations have been managed and the cost is on point, but if it's coming in a bit more expensive than expected, we have an opportunity to reduce the scope in some capacity prior to going further in developing the project, where changes are even more painful. Lastly, I also just want to make sure my clients still understand the design they're getting, and that means reviewing interior renderings. I handle this a few different ways depending on the type of project. If it's a small project, I might handle the interior renderings on my own. I can do live walkthroughs showing ceiling heights that give a pretty good sense of how the interior space is going to work out. If it's a larger project with a sophisticated interior designer, they might take point on developing the interior renderings because they'll have a better ability to load the images up with subtle interior details that they might be proposing, or exact furniture pieces that they can actually source. Regardless of how it happens, we always review imagery of the interior spaces that reflect what those preliminary plans are showing. Just like in the schematic design phase, I think people better understand spaces if they're seeing images rather than just 2D plans. It's all about expectation management. So by the end of the phase, we'll have a preliminary set of plans, interior renderings that reflect the design, all of which has been reviewed and battle tested by the various jurisdictions and contractors to verify everything's going to go smoothly. Additionally, we'll have a team of consultants and engineers lined up ready to hit the ground running in the next phase, construction documentation. Go ahead and hit subscribe if you'd like to learn more about what that phase is all about, and we will chat more soon. Thanks for watching. Cheers.